What's good? Welcome into Titans Today. I'm Abby Alonzo. We are now exactly 7 days away from the NFL draft. So it only makes sense that we round up all the rumors out there 7 days ahead of the draft. The Titans, are they making phone calls about possibly trading up? We've got another NFL Network mock draft for you. And of course, we're going to talk about a Trey Lance trade. Bleacher Report has a trade idea that we're going to go over today. Loaded show for you. We'll get started in just a moment, but I'm going to push it again. Hit the sub button. We are trying to hit 7,000 subscribers. We now have 7 days to do it before the draft. We're currently at 6,723. We're slowly getting there, but it's a little bit too slow for my liking. Let's grow this channel, guys. The more subs we get, the more content I'm able to bring you guys, and maybe it'll become 2 videos a day. Who knows? But we've got to grow the channel. Until then, hit the sub button. We'll continue to work on that. Let's get started. Yes, the Titans seem to be making phone calls about possibly trading up into the top 6 picks of the draft. The Athletic's Dane Brugler said this on a podcast he was just on recently for football.com, and this isn't the first time we've heard of this. This is just, again, a week ahead of the draft taking place. You're starting to hear the rumors pop up again. Who would they trade up for, though? We've heard Anthony Richardson. We've heard maybe they go after a receiver. No. I think it might be CJ Stroud. One, we know that he was the top guy on their draft board. We heard the reports from ESPN that he's the number 1 guy on the draft board. He's the quarterback that the Titans like in this draft. So if they're calling up and being serious about trading up, it's probably for CJ Stroud. Pick number 3 belongs to the Cardinals, right? Their GM was a former Tennessee Titans exec, so you've got that connection there. There has been talk about the Titans and the Cardinals kind of trying to see if this trade could happen, if they can move up to that number 3 overall pick. And why is CJ Stroud maybe a little bit more accessible now? Well, there's been a little bit of slander, I want to say, that there was a whole bunch of drama with the Manning Passing Academy, and he ghosted Peyton and Eli Manning. And this happened a while ago, but it's just now coming up. And of course, now there's talks that CJ Stroud could fall on the board, or maybe the Texans want to do something else. If anything happens, we'll let you know, but that's the word on the street right now. Could the Titans trade up for CJ Stroud? It looks a little bit more realistic than it did a couple weeks ago. We're talking a lot about the draft. You know what else we do? On our new draft channel, we talk about the draft not just for the Tennessee Titans, but for all 32 teams. Now is the time to subscribe to that channel because, again, April 27th is right around the corner. If you want to know everything going on, not just with the Titans, but with the teams ahead of the Titans that are picking ahead of the Titans, or even after, or trade partners, if you want to know everything about all 32 teams, this is the place to go. Go to youtube.com/chatNFL. We'll have you covered on all of the draft analysis, coverage, news, rumors, anything you want, we got it. Hit that sub button to that channel. Next up, NFL Network did release a mock draft for the Titans. Peter Schrager made his first mock draft, and that's kind of weird because we've gone through a lot of different mock drafts from many different analysts who change their mind often, but this is his one and only. This is what he thinks will happen, and he's got Hendon Hooker landing in Tennessee. Man, they really love the quarterbacks to Tennessee. They are chipping away at this quarterback talk, huh? Hendon Hooker to Tennessee. We've talked about this before as well. And this could happen because it's very unlikely that the Titans would have to trade up for Hendon Hooker. They could grab him at 11. It's just a matter of, do you want Hooker at 11, basically? Peter Schrager says, I can see Tennessee moving up to get a quarterback like Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud. General manager Ran Carthon and Mike Vrabel were making the rounds at the pro days for all the top quarterbacks last month. But if the Titans aim to land one at their current draft slot, I'm leaning toward Hooker being their choice over Will Levis, despite Hooker being a 25-year-old coming off a torn ACL. This might shock the world, or by the time the draft arrives, it might not be that big of a shock at all. He brings up a good point. Yes, Mike Vrabel, Ran Carthon did go visit the pro days of all the big quarterbacks on the board, but there were also other prospects there, and they did say, look, we're doing our due diligence. There's other guys here that we're very interested in. This doesn't really mean anything. So, yes, they went and visited. The big thing that everybody is wondering is whether the Titans want a quarterback this year. Now, this might be the smart move. If they do want a quarterback, maybe you don't trade up because trading up is going to cost you somewhere. And you really need all the picks you can get with the way the roster is right now. So maybe staying at 11 and waiting on Hendon Hooker could be an idea. Regardless, it does sound like the Titans want a quarterback. Just there's been too much conversation that leads me to think otherwise. Yes, they said they expect Ryan Tannehill to be the starter. That doesn't mean they don't grab a quarterback this year to sit behind him for a year, get acclimated, and then take over in 2024. Hendon Hooker could be that guy. We saw him basically become the face of college football before his injury, and the stats prove it. In 11 games, he had a 69.6 completion percentage, 3,135 yards, 27 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. Over the past 4 seasons, he's had great production. He gets better and better each year. That is something that's kind of promising for a guy who you hopefully want to be your future. If you want a guy to take over the franchise, you'd like to see him continue to get better and better and to grow each year, which he's done, clearly. You look at some of his strongest traits. He's a dual threat. He can run the ball, which for a Tennessee offense that is very run first, run heavy, that could take some weight off of the shoulders of Derrick Henry. It'd be a good balance. And we know that the run offense does work in Tennessee. So maybe adding him there, being a dual threat, that's a plus. He's got an NFL caliber arm. You've seen his arm. The stats show exactly what his arm can do. That's there. He's good at deep balls. He can make those big plays. He protects the ball well, which for a team that hasn't quite figured out what the offensive line will look like, he may be facing some pressure. He protects it well. That's very good. And again, like I said, he's grown each year. He's gotten better. And that is, again, something that you want for a guy that could take over your franchise as QB1. All this to say, there are still concerns. Of course, Abby, there's concerns with every prospect that comes in. Duh. He's older. And he's coming off an injury. I'm not somebody that says, oh, I'm going to base off the age and what you're capable of doing is dependent on your age. I don't believe that, but it is something to take into consideration, as well as that ACL injury. Now he is ahead of schedule and he looks good, but that's what they're going to say. He's trying to get drafted. So really only time will tell, and you have to be willing to take those risks if you want him to be QB1, because it's a package deal. Yeah, he's older. He's coming off an injury, but I don't doubt that Hendon Hooker could be something serious if taken seriously. Should the Titans draft Hendon Hooker? Should they stay at 11 and grab him? Type D for draft, type P for pass. Let me know down in the comment section, and feel free to elaborate. I do read the comments. Finally, we'll round out the show with more Trey Lance trade talk. Yes, Ian Rappaport broke the news yesterday that apparently some teams have been calling the 49ers about possibly making a trade happen for Trey Lance, and the Tennessee Titans got thrown into that conversation. Shocker, they're all over every quarterback in this draft, in the trade world. They want everyone, apparently. But Bleacher Report did put out this trade idea, which was very similar to one of the trade ideas I had on a former video, but they said that the Titans would receive Trey Lance for a 2023 third-round pick, which would be number 72 this year, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. So that's what the 49ers would receive. Trade, again, very similar to what I kind of predicted yesterday, but is it worth it? Do you really want to trade away your third-round pick this year when you know the roster needs a lot of help right now to get a quarterback that you're not completely sold on? Now, Ran Carthon was part of the front office that did trade up for Trey Lance, so maybe he trusts him. Maybe he wants to give him his shot. He likes what Trey Lance can do. He knows more than we've seen, right? Because we haven't seen a lot of Trey Lance. But is that a risk you're willing to take? You're willing to give up your third-round pick and a 2024 fourth-rounder for a quarterback who hasn't been able to prove himself, is also coming off injury. It's also, is San Francisco even willing to trade away Trey Lance? There's a lot of things to kind of take into consideration when you're thinking about this actual trade happening. But if this is real and San Francisco is willing to trade away Trey Lance and Ran Carthon wants Trey Lance, are you happy with this trade? Do you think this trade is doable? Do you think it should be done if it's possible? Type Y for yes, type N for no down in the comment section. As always, we appreciate y'all for watching. We will keep y'all posted with all of the Titans draft coverage leading up to April 27th. Make sure you hit that sub button so you don't miss a beat. We'll see y'all soon. Tighten up.